Hi guys, this is Preeti and you're watching my Solution. I'll be saying all exam oriented things. Like in this chapter, you are not getting any questions because there are no RS questions from this chapter. This is Living Anatomy and Edenec. See, there are no RS questions from this chapter. And coming to the next chapter, but still you need to learn the images, if possible, diagrams. And from the osteology of head and neck, you have like Therion, Bregma. Bregma is important question for 3 mark. Then Therion, important question for 3 mark. Clinical importance of Therion is also important. Then anterior frontal alley, that is a newborn skull, Nasion, and hyoid bone. Hyoid bone, these are the important questions, that is RS questions from this chapter. Hyoid bone, you will be mostly getting RS questions only in the final exam, so I will be focusing on these questions. Now, Bregma. Bregma, it is a point which at which coronal and sagittal section will fuse. This is the coronal section, coronal and suture. This is a sagittal suture where these two will meet. This point is known as Bregma. This is a 3 mark question. If you draw this diagram and say this point, that's more than enough. Next, coming to Therion. Therion, this head-shaped thing is known as Therion. This is region in the anterior part of the temporal fossa where 4 bones will meet. This is a frontal bone, this is a parietal bone, squamous temporal bone, and the greater wing of sphenoid. These 4 bones will meet. Frontal, parietal, squamous temporal, and greater wing of sphenoid, where they meet to form a head-shaped suture, which will be 4 centimeter above the midpoint of this is a zygomatic arch, 4 centimeter above the midpoint of the zygomatic arch. This is a Therion. Like damage to this, like injury to this will cause the injury to the anterior division of middle meningeal artery damage. So this artery will be ruptured. This then there will be extradural hematoma. Fracture to Therion, that is deep to the Therion lies an anterior division of the middle meningeal artery which ruptures following the blow into the region to form an extradural hematoma. A clot formation between the skull and the bone and the dural matter. The clot, if big, it compresses the brain, leading to the unconsciousness and even death. Therefore, it should be removed as early as possible. Trepanation or kerotomy. Like if we have to remove the skull and then we have to remove the clot, or else it may lead to the death even. So, what we learned? Therion is a head-shaped formed by the fusion of 4 bones, that is frontal bone, parietal bone, squamous temporal bone, and greater wing of sphenoid. It will be 4 centimeter above the zygomatic arch, midpoint of the zygomatic arch. This is a Therion location we got, and clinical importance will be here. Below this it lies anterior division of middle meningeal artery, damage which caused this rupture, and then there will be a clot between the dura and the brain, which compresses the brain and causes unconscious and finally death. So we need to do the craniectomy and then remove the clot. This is all about the Therion. And Nasion. Nasion is a point where junction of nasal and frontal bones fuse. You can see through in this image. This is a Nasion. This is a Nasion. This is a frontal bone. These are 2 nasal bones where it fuses. This is a Nasion. This is also important for 3 mark. You draw this diagram and then write that point. That's enough. Then coming to anterior frontal alley. Anterior frontal alley. This is the anterior frontal alley. Anterior frontal alley. This will be larger. Anterior frontal alley, like almost all the frontal alley will fuses at the birth, but except anterior frontal alley, which takes 2 years to fuse. These are the 2 points for anterior frontal alley, and clinical importance for anterior frontal alley is the largest frontal alley, and it has greater clinical importance because this frontal alley, the bone is not fused, so we can like go through the CSF. So the measuring the CSF, that is intracranial pressure, we can measure, and abnormal depression in the anterior frontal alley indicates that there is a insufficiency of the body fluids, and anterior frontal alley permits the superior sagittal sinus lies just under the midline through the lateral angle, and where a needle can be passed into the lateral ventricle of the brain also through the anterior frontal alley. So we learned like anterior frontal alley, this is the largest frontal alley. All the frontal alley fuses by the birth, but except anterior frontal alley, which takes 2 years to fuse. And by measuring the CSF, like we can measure the intracranial pressure also. If there is a depression, it indicates insufficiency of the body fluids. And through the needle, we can get into the lateral ventricle through this anterior frontal vein. These are the clinical importance of anterior frontal vein. Now we'll be learning about the hyoid bone. Hyoid bone, which is also important for a 5-mark question. This hyoid bone. The parts of hyoid bone is a body, greater corneum and lesser cornu, greater cornu, lesser cornu. And the muscular attachment will be hyoid bones. First, for 5 hyoids are there. Hyoid and hyoid. So, these are hyoids. Remaining hyoids, what you have? Genoglossus and genohyoid. Geno is nothing but mandible. From mandible, it has come till hyoid. Genohyoid. And genoglossus from genome, that is gena is nothing but mandible, because this part is there, this is a genome. From genome it comes to the hyoid, that is the genohyoid, and genoglossus into the tongue. So genoglossus upside, genohyoid downward, and then hyoid bones are there. This you can remember as samosa, SMOSA. Sternohyoid, omohyoid, this O comes here, like homohyoid, mylohyoid, stylohyoid. Is samosa, and T is extra. Constrictors are there, middle constrictor, inferior, superior constrictor. So first middle constrictor, then hyoglossus. Hyo means below, glossus means tongue. This is all about the muscle attachment of the hyoid bone. That is genoglossus, genohyoid. Then middle constrictor, then hypoglossus below the tongue, then samosa, like thyrohyoid, leaving thyrohyoid, samosa. Sternohyoid, like sternum will be this side, like down. So sternohyoid, there's stylohyoid. Omohyoid, SOM, samosa, M, mylohyoid, and then stylohyoid. These are all the muscular attachment of hyoid bone. If you find this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section. Thank you.